Okay, Shalom everybody. Tonight we want to discuss a very important question because in Iran, a lot of people, is it a blessing or heaven forbid dangerous to marry into the Kohen? With Kohanim, priests, Jewish priests. We know that in Iran, many people, especially Esfahanis, and many other different cities of Jewish people in Iran, they would always be very reluctant and avoid to marry with Kohanim because they would say the Kohanim are extra holy, and if God forbid we don't, especially the females, unfortunately the world was much more male chauvinistic already in the prior years, which is not a good thing. So they were afraid that they weren't respect the female Kohen, their daughter-in-law, appropriately, or their son-in-law. So a lot of people would always recommend for the Kohanim to marry each other. Now we want to see halachically what is, not just based on tradition, but based on Talmudic. So Rav Ovadia deals with this in Chelek Hey, Yehaveda'at, Even Ha'ezer, Siman 61. And that is, Ha'im mutar l'Yisrael bat Kohen. Is it a good idea for a regular Joe Schmo Jew to marry a daughter of a Kohen? And also the second part is it okay for a Kohen just to marry any regular non-Kohenite, regular Jewish woman? So there's a fascinating Gemara, which if you could look it up, is the Talmud Bavli in Psachim, page Memtet, 49. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon Omer. Rabbi Shimon says, any meal that is not of a mitzvah, a Talmid Chacham, a Torah scholar, shouldn't partake of. And what is an example of a meal that's not a Seudat mitzvah? It's not a really happy occasion. That's if the daughter of a Kohen and a daughter of a Talmid Chacham, like a rabbi, a Torah scholar, marries a Am Ha'aretz, a very ignorant Jew. Pirush Rashi explains, Bat Kohen sericha leinaseh leKohen velo lifkom mishpacha v'leinaseh leYisrael. So Rashi initially is a little bit over here, looks dangerous, because he says a Kohen, like our tradition in Iran for thousands of years, she should marry another Kohen and not denigrate her family by marrying a regular Jew. And the Gemara even goes a step further. Let's say you go and marry a Kohen, Kohenite, right? We'll call a female Kohen a Kohenite. Rabbi Yochanan says it's not going to be a good marriage. Rav Chisda even goes even to a deeper level of danger. It says either, God forbid, the husband or wife are going to die, God forbid, prematurely, or it's going to end up in divorce, or they're not going to have children, or even worse than that, it's going to cause a premature death, or heaven forbid, they're going to become very poor. So it's dangerous. But the Gemara asks on this, that how could you say that? Rabbi Yochanan, somebody says that, hey, if you want a segula, everybody nowadays, the mortgages are very expensive, real estate has gone up, so everybody wants to be wealthy. The Gemara says, actually, whoever wants to become rich should go marry the daughters of Aharon, the Kohen. Right? The first Kohen Gadol was the great brother of Moses, which started the ancestor of all Kohanim is Aharon. So on one hand, it's Rabbi Yochanan says if you want to become wealthy, marry a Kohen, a female Kohen, a daughter of a Kohen. On the other hand, it says it's dangerous, God forbid, death, premature death. I mean, it's not a joke. Or divorce, no children, or heaven forbid, they're going to become destitutely poor. So the Gemara reconciles this, and it says there's a difference. Lo kashya, haba talmid hacham ba'aretz. If a Torah scholar, a very knowledgeable Jew, a Jew that's been in yeshiva, in kollel, goes and marries a daughter of a Kohen, not only is it not dangerous, no, he's going to be blessed and he's going to become very wealthy and successful. But if God forbid a Jew that is either non-observant, like unfortunately, there's a spiritual holocaust. Almost 90% of Jews are not really observant Jews. Shomer Torah mitzvot, or the person is Shomer Shabbat, but the bare minimum, he doesn't care. We're going to get into that. That could be very dangerous. Now, what's the philosophy? Why? Why shouldn't a ignorant or non-observant Jew marry a Kohen? Because it says, Rashi explains, a Talmid Chacham is holy person, right? He has Torah, he loves the Torah, he's knowledgeable. And Aharon is our priest, right? The Kohanim have to bless us every day. So, it's, apples and apples. It's, it's two things. It's holiness and holiness. When a Torah scholar marries a Kohen, it's very good and holy. But, if somebody that really is careless, doesn't care, doesn't really, not interested to observe the Torah, or observant in detail, is, God forbid, he's kind of like poisoning the holiness. He's bringing down the and that's why it's harmful, it's dangerous. That's the idea behind it, that Aharon is meant that his descendants should be on a high spiritual level. And if you marry a daughter of a Kohen and you don't care about Torah and it's irrelevant to you, you're going to cause the children, the grandchildren, the descendants of Aharon, heaven forbid, to come down. And guess what? The Rambam codifies this. This is not some like good advice. Okay, stay away from Kohanim, like some like your mother's gefilte fish. But it's brought down halachically by the Rambam. You can look it up in Hilechot Isurei Bi'ah, Perek Chaf Aleph, chapter 21, Halacha 31. And none other but that our master, the Shulchan Aruch of Yosef Karo, also paskins this halacha in Even HaEzer, Siman Bet, right at the beginning of the third book of the Jewish Code of Law, in the subcategory 8. Look what the Maran says, Rav Yosef Karo. Am haaretz lo yisa kohenet. It's not a good idea for an ignorant Jew to marry the daughter of a Kohen. Ve'im nasa, if they get married, en zivugam ole yafeh. It's not going to be good news. Shetamut hi, either she's going to, God forbid, pass away, or he's going to pass away. It's literally a matter of life and death. And or another harm is going to come upon them. Aval Talmid Chacham, but if a person is a solidified Torah scholar, it's very good for him to marry a daughter of a Kohen. And actually, Torah is holy and Kohens are holy. So it's a very good fit for them to marry each other. Now, they always say that the details. Now, how do we... I just want to say something parenthetically. We had a very, very great Persian rabbi. His name was Chacham Netaneli. I know for a fact he would very much discourage non-observant or ignorant Jews that are totally oblivious to the details of the Torah to marry Kohenites, to marry daughters of a Kohen, because really the Shulchan Aruch recommends highly against it. Now, Rav Ovadia brings a beautiful, beautiful idea to really clarify what's going on here. Now let's say, there's 50 shades of gray. Not everybody's a Torah scholar, not everybody's totally ignorant. There's the people in the middle. So what happens there? So Rav Ovadia says a beautiful idea. And he brings a lot of other very big poskim. They make this. There's really 3 levels. There's a person. The worst thing is somebody that's totally not observant and he wants to marry a daughter of a Kohen. That's dangerous. Then there's another person called Am Haaretz, a person that really, the Gemara says, what is an Am Haaretz, an ignorant Jew? Lo be'osek beTorah. He never studies Torah. And a lot of people don't know this. Am Haaretz does keep Shabbat. He doesn't, that. Rabbi Akiva used to be Am Haaretz. Doesn't mean Rabbi Akiva was not observant. Rabbi Akiva just didn't care to study Torah. He only cared about work. So Am Haaretz is a person that doesn't study Torah, doesn't really keeping mitzvot, right? Is not very important to him, and helping other people. He's selfish. He doesn't study even the weekly parsha. He doesn't even know Mishnah. And the Chida also brings in Chazal, in the Gemara, we find Am Haaretz is a person that really, he knows that there's something called like to make a blessing before, do Birkat Hamazon or keep Shabbat. But he doesn't really care to go find like the details. That, oh, there's 39 things forbidden. No. Whatever his parents taught him at a young age, that's all he wants to know. He just wants to work the whole day. This person also is not recommended to do what? To go marry with who? A Kohenite. But then there's the middle ground, which is a Jew is observant, he's God-fearing. Okay, he hasn't studied in Kollel, he hasn't studied maybe in yeshiva so long, but he does, care about the details of halacha. That person, he's a normal Jew, right? He's not a, extraordinary knowledgeable in Torah. That person, Rav Ovadia very nicely brings, that's not dangerous. That's parv. It's not milky, it's not meaty. It's not going to be... See, because I got complaint, I started giving this shir, I talked about this issue with the Kohen, and he said, you're causing nobody want to marry the female Kohens, especially traditionally Iranians, they're afraid. No, heaven forbid. I want to give a disclaimer here. If somebody is an observant Jew, even though he's not a Torah scholar, Rav Ovadia very clearly and sharply says there is no danger whatsoever. He's not necessarily going to get wealthy. That's the third level, right? So there's a middle level which is kind of not gushti, not masi. It's pariv. Then there's the third level where, wow, somebody's very knowledgeable in Torah. He's very, studying Torah on a constant basis. So he's a very holy person. That person is going to be what? Blessed. And become wealthy. It's in ve'agefen, be in ve'agefen. Now, there are Ashkenazi poskim that argue on this whole thing, Gemara, and say it doesn't apply. The Rama first of all says that nowadays we don't have the concept of Torah scholar. Torah scholar is like a prince. We have to really... there's many laws throughout Jewish halacha. Now, the Ramah, the chief of all the commentator for the Ashkenazim on the Shulchan Aruch, seems to say somewhere that all those laws regarding Talmid Chacham don't apply. But one of the most authoritative and heavy-duty Torah scholars is the Chida, Chaim Yosef David Azulai, and he adamantly argues on the Ramah. And he says, it may be that the Ashkenazim, we love them and respect them with all our hearts. Most of the yeshivot nowadays are Ashkenazim, and the key of Torah is the hand of Ashkenazim. But with all due respect, the Chida says this is a difference of opinion. And he says, Maran, Rav Yosef Karo, all throughout Shulchan Aruch, he codifies all the laws in his 4 books that Talmid Chacham, Torah scholars, do apply. Like the Chida says, there's a Gemara right there. If you look in the Gemara that talks about not marrying, the Gemara there, page 49, Memtet in Pesachim, is talking about who you should marry. It's talking about, the Gemara says, you should sell the shirt off your back to marry the daughter of a Talmid Chacham. You know why? Because the most important investment in your life is a good children. Let's say, God forbid, especially if you look historically, people used to die very young prematurely. There were so many sicknesses. The world was very unsophisticated. There wasn't... He said, if God forbid, why should you even sell the shirt off your back and marry the daughter of a Torah scholar, Talmid Chacham, like a rabbi, a real rabbi, a Rav, not those reform, deform. But because, if God forbid one day you there's no guarantee. Life is full of surprises, and God forbid, if you leave this world, your daughter, your wife, since she's the daughter of a Rav, she's going to raise your children to love God, fear of God. This week's Parsha is what? Has the Shema Israel. And one of the lesson that we see in the Shema Israel twice is Veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shiftecha b'veitecha. We have to have such a love affair and be so infatuated and so diligent to our devotion to Torah that when you sit, when you eat, when you walk, 24 hours a day, we have to have the Torah in our hearts and in our minds and constantly talking about it. So, mother is so important for the children. So that's why, in order to convince a Torah scholar, Talmid Chacham, to marry his daughter, go even sell your entire life, because you're going to get the most precious thing. You know what? You're going to have children that are going to be what? Committed to what? Torah. The Chidah says, this law is brought down by the Maran, right? And it applies nowadays. Parenthetically, the Chazon Ish says that any girl that has gone to seminary in Beis Yaakov is like about Talmid Chacham. But the Chidah also brings another idea. He says, in the olden days, somebody that would disrespect a rabbi, a Torah scholar in public, he would have to pay a fine. He would have to pay like a golden coin. The Chidah says he saw in a very holy book that some people would argue that even the Ramah, Rav Moshe Israelis, the Ashkenazim, he only says that there's no law of Talmid Chacham that we fine people. Oh, you disrespected the rabbi, pay up. That doesn't apply nowadays. But all these other laws that we should judge, we're more lenient to return lost objects to Talmidei Chachamim. Maybe once we'll do a shiur on modern halacha about returning lost objects. It's fascinating. Or if in a courtroom we have to be more favorable to a Talmid Chacham, lahapech bezechuteh. All these laws, even the Ramah would agree they apply, but the Chidah very clearly, and the Ma'abit, one of the other great poskim in his Teshubot, the Chidah and the Ma'abit say that the laws of Talmidei Chachamim does exist. The Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch constantly bring it down. Now, the Tzemach Tzedek from the Chabad, one of the great Teshubot, based on the Rivash, he wants to be lenient. He wants to say, don't make such a big deal about this halacha, that you want to, in all fairness, we want all Jews to find, it's Tu B'Av actually tonight. Such a beautiful night. We hope all the singles out there find your soulmate and have inner peace. Now, one of the days we celebrate Tu B'Av actually, gentlemen, is why? Because it used to be very hard to find a shidduch, your soulmate, because you would only be able to what? Marry somebody in your own tribe, right? There's 12 tribes of Israel. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Ephraim, and Asher Benjamin. If you were born to the Benjamin, like Mordechai, Yamini, you would only be able to marry what? A Yemen. Not Yemenite from the Yemen, but Yemini, a Benjaminite woman. And it was very hard, because, the greater the pool. So one of the days we're happy on Tu B'Av is Tu B'Av is one of the best days in the Jewish calendar. I think it's a mistake to call it the Jewish Valentine's Day, but it's a day that we celebrate the fact that the Chachamim saw that it's too limit. You have to open your scope. So now, this is the night that they let the Jews marry any tribe, right? So, one argument some poskim make, Rav Ovadia argues on this, but it's fascinating to understand. The Tzemach Tzedek says like this. He says, first of all, based on the Rivash, one of the great Sephardic poskim, Kohanim nowadays don't have a license that, do they have like a Megillat Yuchsin, which is a document which shows their ancestry? No. We just assume they're Kohen because of Chazakah. So therefore, to say that somebody's life is in danger, and even if he's not so observant, and he's ignorant to not recommend them getting married. He says, since the Kohanim were not showing their Kohanim, and since we see many people have done it and they haven't died, right? So Shomer Petayim Hashem. There's a concept in Halacha where once a mistake is so commonplace, right? We say Dashu Berabim. It's already like it's a common thing. So there are people that argue that way, but Rav Ovadia doesn't like that because first of all, we do respect the Kohanim. The Kohanim do go duchan and all of that. But that is something to keep in mind. But something that Rav Ovadia at the end of his essay brings over here in Yechavedad is that for sure, and this I want to recommend, anybody watching this video should really give a word to the wise. People that are totally, like they drive on Shabbat or they open their business on Shabbat, that for sure is dangerous. And I want to repeat. We had a great rabbi, which is like an angel, Chacham Netaneli. He would say that he saw many cases, and he warned them, and the people that didn't listen to him warning, and they did marry, they were totally not religious, and they married Kohen Adwam. It's really what the Gemara says here. It is dangerous. It's literally a matter of life and death. It's either, the husband or wife could die prematurely, heaven forbid. They could get poor, they can't have children, or they're going to get divorced. So definitely somebody that is not observant at all should really, and Rav Ovadia says something here. I want to tell this. Tonight is Tu B'Av. This is very, very important thing to keep in mind. Never get married. And unfortunately, it breaks my heart. I've seen a few divorces happen because of this. We could never marry somebody on the assumption that they're going to change. So let's say somebody, a totally cheloni, right? A totally non-observant, non-religious Jew falls in love with the Kohen, daughter of a Kohen. And he says, honey, I promise you, I cross my heart, I swear, I'm going to go to yeshiva and kollel the day we get married. After our honeymoon, after the Sheva Berachot, Rav Ovadia clearly says that is not a good idea. And a lot of psychologists also bring this down. It's not a good idea. Never marry somebody on the assumption that they're going to change. Because what you see is what you get. Is it easy for you to change yourself? No. So this wishful thinking... So this is a very important thing because I've seen this actually. Is it a good idea? So this is another subcategory of what we're talking about. Okay, Rabbi, let's say the case is like this. Reuven loves Leah, and Leah is a daughter of a Kohen. Now Reuven is not observant at all right now, but he promises that he's gonna, talk is cheap. See it, you see it. When you see it, believe it. So Rav Ovadia, it's actually very fascinating because this is very important psychologically. So too often I've seen, I'm a matchmaker and I do not recommend, we have to be practical and in life and logical. It's very hard for people to change their habits. And I would want to go the same way Rav Ovadia says over here, it's not a good idea. Let the person become religious for a year, then they should get married, But this is also not a good idea to say if the guy promises, because many of the promises are what? Broken. And in today's society where people have to work so hard and people are lazy, I don't want to, God forbid, say, if the guy's about tshuva and he really has done teshuvah and he's studying Torah, that's fine. But if somebody, the day they want to put the ring in the hand of the Kala, he's not keeping anything, it's only going on the assumption that it's going to happen. Rav Ovadia says it's very hard for people to change. This is still not recommended. And I just want to let you know parenthetically, I've seen this very, very, very badly. The spouses suffer, I know there was a family friend. She was very religious, sang Tehillim the whole day, And a very nice boy came. He was very non-religious. And he promised that he's going to become religious. Did he become religious? I know 3 cases. In the beginning, he tried to keep Shabbat one day. So I'm not chas v'sholem coming to disqualify Baalei Teshuvah that are seriously, they've done Teshuvah, they're stable, they've been, keeping Shabbat, studying on a constant basis at least for 6 months or like to a year. But just a word to the wise, never get married to somebody on the assumption they're going to change. Because most likely, they're not going to change. The same person they've been for the last 25 years, they're going to what? Continue to be. And that would apply for this halacha also. So, it's not such a good idea if the husband promises out of the love that he's infatuated with this daughter of the Kohen that he's going to get religious, unless he's actually keeping it and he's really studying and, involved before the chuppah. So just to conclude, and we're going to finish right now, Rav Ovadia says that so it's a word to the wise, because this is a it's a life and death type of thing. It's only a good idea to marry a daughter of a Kohen if you fear God and you have a dedicated time to study Torah every day, right? Because unfortunately, if we don't grow, we come down and we forget. That's why Chacham Ben Sion Abba Shaul says we always pray to God, Lilmod ulelamed lishmor vela'asot ulekayem. Lilmod ulelamed lishmor means to keep, to review, right? Even I've come across people, being a rabbi of a very big shul, people will tell me, Rabbi, when I was young, I used to be in yeshiva even for a few years. Now you see, it doesn't keep anything. So, somebody that he learns, comes to shul every day, he learns halacha, he knows about halacha, but if somebody doesn't care about the details and never studies Torah, even if he keeps Shabbat, he should stay away from marrying Kohanim. But definitely, it's not required to be a Torah scholar to be what? You don't have to be like being kolel to marry daughter of a Kohen. As long as you study Torah every day, you go to shul every day, and you care about the details, and you ask your rabbi, and so you're getting away from the gather of Am Haaretz. Now let's go to the other thing. How about a male Kohen? Should a male Kohen only marry a female Kohen? Aval Kohen noseh bat Yisrael kol shem shomrim. The opposite doesn't apply. A male Kohen, like Aharon, Mr. Aaron, he is allowed to marry any daughter of any regular Jew, as long as she's observant and they build their house upon the foundations of Torah. So really, I wasn't planning, but tonight is the night of Tu B'Av. It's one of the happiest days. May everybody find their soulmate. And a word to the wise is that always get married to somebody on the assumption that what you see is what you get. Never fool yourself that you're going to be able to change them. And may God help everybody find their soulmate. Amen. Amen. Please don't forget to subscribe.